Another round of applause for the speakers that just went before me, please. It's such an honor to join everyone here at Catalyst Week, and I'll get straight to the point. My mission in life is extremely simple, and that mission is to help make people better. I get the opportunity to do that every single day as an executive coach, as a consultant to organizations, and as a speaker. And the reason why I do this, and the reason why it's so important to me, is because the high that I get when I help people achieve great things, when I help people connect dots they previously didn't know existed, or help them transform potential into performance, it literally blows me away. And more than anything else, the reason why I love making others better is because simply I wouldn't be here on the stage today if throughout my life consistently people didn't make me better. And what I'd like to do right now is to start with a premise. That premise being that Google, who's familiar with Google, raise your hand. Okay, 100% accuracy. I'm gonna start with the premise that Google only tells part of the story. To be more specific, Google only tells part of our story. So, for example, if you happen to use the Google, this is what you're gonna find out about me. You'll see that I've been a business correspondent with NBC. You'll see that I've been produced and created documentaries for BET networks. I've been a writer for a variety of publications, been a correspondent with PBS. Depending upon how old you are, or you may remember me with some long dreadlocks hosting some shows on Nickelodeon back in the day. But Google only tells part of the story. What Google doesn't tell is this right here. These are my credits when I arrived a little over 10 years ago in New York City. I had 0 credits. I arrived in New York City with $600 in my bank account. I knew just one person. This is pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter, pre-LinkedIn, pre-every damn thing. That one person was kind enough to give me a floor to sleep on for 9 months on 3 couch cushions. Not a couch. 3 couch cushions on the floor. My neck still hurts. You have no idea. And that was an experience that really blew me away and changed my life. So Google only tells a small portion of our story that is what's honest and true to us. Essentially, when I moved to New York City, what I was doing was starting all over in my life. How many people here know what it's like to start over, or who are starting over right now? Raise your hand. We have quite a few people. That's a real feeling. And something else Google doesn't tell is this right here. Look at that dude in the bottom corner rocking the brown velour sweater. That's me right there, and my lovely family. As you can tell, everyone in this photo right here is like smiling, the big grin, having a good time. Yo, I got my grill on, like what? Don't say anything to me, son. Google doesn't tell you that this is me in 6th grade. When I was going through an extremely tough time in my life, I was reeling from the divorce of my parents. I was dealing with the after effects of living in a shelter for battered women. I was dealing with instability and moving nonstop in my small little town in Michigan where I was raised. That kid right there was angry. He was mad at the world. He didn't care. Slowly but surely, I was becoming apathetic. I was about to turn the proverbial wrong corner. But thank goodness that was around the time that the first catalyst showed up in my life. And I smile when I see that name, Mrs. Hirschman, my 6th grade teacher at Hunt Elementary School, because she single-handedly changed the trajectory of my life. What Mrs. Hirschman did when I was a 6th grader is she cast me, the angry kid, as the lead in the school production of The Nutcracker. I killed it. I mean, you have no idea. I smashed it. The script did not call for any breakdancing. Who broke dance in The Nutcracker? Listen, you gotta find ways to stand out, okay? I got in trouble, but it happened. That may seem a little bit insignificant, but by Mrs. Hirschman selecting me when I was about to turn that corner to be the lead in that school production, she lit a spark in me that still burns bright to this day. This smile right here isn't manufactured. This is straight up real. It's all because of Mrs. Hirschman. Because this is the person who, when I couldn't believe in myself, she believed in me, which gave me the confidence to slowly but surely believe in myself. And it's no wonder that after doing that sixth grade production of The Nutcracker that I worked in the television industry between New York City and Los Angeles for over 10 years as a reporter, as a host, as a correspondent, all because someone who didn't have to do this said, hey, I believe in you. You can do this. Another catalyst showed up in my life a little bit later down the road. Coach Jack Shaw. Coach Shaw is deceased now, rest in peace, but as an undergraduate at Western Michigan University, I was on the track and field team. I happened to walk on the track and field team, and if you know what a walk-on is, it's, you don't have a scholarship, you basically try out for the team. And after 2 years of being on that team, I hadn't experienced too much success. And one day, my coach, Jack Shaw, came up to me and said, hey, we need to talk, man. Whenever somebody says we need to talk, man, you know it's not gonna be a good talk. He said, you've been on this roster for 2 years, and in 2 years, you have not once placed in a major competition. He says, but I got some news for you. Right over there, and he pointed, he said, we have 2 All-Americans on our track and field team, 2 of the best. But not once have I ever saw you practice with them or have saw you spend time with them. He said, instead, you're spending time with those guys. And he pointed over to the high jump mat where a whole bunch of my teammates were laughing and joking around, having a good time. He was telling the truth. I was hanging out with the kids on the high jump mat because why would I want to hang out with All-Americans? They got up earlier than I did. They ate better than I did. They worked harder than I did. They did more repetitions than I've ever have done in my life. Being over there with the guys on the high jump, man, who weren't bad guys, but that right there was comfortable. That was easy. Hanging out with the All-Americans was a challenge. That was gonna be work. That was gonna be pressure. That was gonna be me getting completely uncomfortable. But as we know, what does pressure do? That can spark great things. That can create diamonds. The great thing about that conversation with Coach Shaw, it gave me a paradigm shift in my life moving forward. And as you can probably assume, I did go on to spend more time with those All-Americans on the team. And though I never became an NCAA All-American and I never became an Olympian, I did become an all-conference triple jumper, which meant a heck of a lot to me. And more importantly, I earned a scholarship, which meant a lot to my mother, because that meant she could now stop paying for my tuition on her credit card. The best thing about this conversation with Coach Shaw was that he introduced me to a concept of thieves of ambition and allies of glory. Right now, just think about the 5 people that you spend the most time with in your life, say outside of your work, and ask yourself this simple yet extremely complex question. Do they make me better? Do the 5 people that you spend the most time with outside of work, do they make you better? You see, what we have in life are 2 options, in my opinion. We have thieves of ambition, we have allies of glory. Thieves of ambition are those individuals that don't support you, that don't encourage you, that don't challenge you, that don't hold you accountable. They're okay with the status quo, they're okay with mediocrity. If you tell them you want to accomplish something, that you want to do something, and you don't do it, they're not going to say anything to you. Thieves of ambition are toxic individuals. They're those individuals that always have drama going on. Raise your hand if you got a friend who always has drama going on. You call him, what's up, Jim? I'm at the airport. You're not gonna believe what just happened to me. Why are things always happening to you and no one else? Listen, thieves of ambition, give them the stiff arm. Ain't nobody got time for that. Seriously. On the flip side, the opportunity that we do have is to spend as much time as we can with allies of glory. Allies of glory are those individuals that support you, that encourage you, that inspire you, that challenge you, that hold you accountable, that test you to be the absolute best version of yourself. The rub is that spending time, and people talked about this evening, is that spending time sometimes with allies of glory or catalysts or All-Americans isn't always easy. They're gonna push your buttons. They're gonna get you uncomfortable. They're gonna try to take you to a temperature that your thermostat has never achieved before. But if you give it a chance, you give it an opportunity, that's where the growth, that's where the development, that's where the big breakthroughs come from in our lives. So for the past few years, I've been spending a lot of time asking myself, how can I spend more time with thieves? No, excuse me, not thieves. We'll do that tonight after we're done. How can I spend more time with allies of glory, with all Americans, with catalysts? I looked at the landscape and what we see, and we see it here in Vegas right now, we see it in beautiful places like New Orleans. There are incubators and accelerators for companies. What about for individuals? The independent professional, that 9-to-5er who's working on their 5-to-9 project, that freelancer, that independent contractor, this person that's starting their own small business. Where do they go? So last year, me and my buddy Bassam Tarazi is an amazing author and coach. We came up with this idea, this experiment essentially called the Ignition Lab. We operated essentially under the thesis that if you have an idea, a project, or even a business to explore, that you should not go about doing that by yourself. You shouldn't be in your cramped apartment by yourself doing that. You shouldn't try to find the one outlet in the coffee shop to do that. Instead, what we've wanted to do is create environments not where you co-work, you go plug in and put your headphones on and look down, but instead environments where you co-create, where you co-solve. Or if you are that independent professional, you can again be part of a team where you have the opportunity as an independent person to shine, to take center stage, to say, here's what I'm working on, here's what's great about it, how can we make it better? Not only that, you have the opportunity to support others who are doing the exact same thing. So we called it the Ignition Lab and we put it to the test. We announced it to the world, we put some applications out, and in November of 2012, we took 6 people down, of course, to Nicaragua, 6 professionals, independent professionals in Nicaragua for the first ever Ignition Lab. And the results of that co-solving, co-creating environment were pretty much phenomenal, in my opinion. Out of that, we had 2 really big success stories. First, a travel with Kate. Kate Lauren Thomas at the time was a blogger, writing posts every now and then, recording videos every now and then. We plotted out a beautiful strategy for her, and now she has over 50 videos up. She has partnerships with major travel brands, and you can find her all across the internet. She created a big name for herself because previously she did not have that support to figure out how she could do this. A second success story we had is Wind and Designed. Lindsay was a 9-to-5 graphic designer. Her real passion was designing stationery. Now she has this project where she's traveling across the country doing trunk shows for brides-to-be, where they can come in to locations across the country and have their stationery for their weddings designed right there in front of them. That's cool and all, right? They have successful businesses now, micro businesses. But what's interesting enough is the biggest finding that we found out of the Ignition Lab wasn't necessarily this. It was that it feels really good to have someone care about what you're working on. Someone to give a credit, like we're gonna listen to you right now, hear about what you're working on. We're such a me obsessed society. The second thing is that it feels so good to help others shine. What I've noticed throughout my life is that when I'm helping someone else on their project, on their business, that's when the biggest light bulbs and breakthroughs come for me as well, when I'm giving my energy to someone else. What I invite everyone to do right now, and I mean this, just please take a look around this room right now at your neighbor in front of you, behind you, to the side of you. Make eye contact, give a pound, nod a head, something. Right now, if you did not know it, we are in the midst of allies of glory. We are in the midst of all Americans. We are in the midst of catalysts. Not only are there enough people in our lives to help us shine, but we can also be that spark, that ignition to help someone else shine and take their project, their business, whatever they're working on to the next level. As I heard someone say a long time ago, if we help enough other people get what they want, we will get all that we want and more. And I truly believe that. So my invitation to you this evening after we finish up, and tomorrow and next week when you go home, wherever that is when you find yourself in conversations, ask people, what are they working on? And how can I support you? And when you say that, mean that. And just do all you can to support them, to be their ally of glory, to be their catalyst, to make them better. Because at the end of the day, it makes you better. And I want to thank all of you for listening to me in making me better right now. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.